Have you ever felt stuck, waiting for the perfect time to act? Maybe you're hoping for more clarity, but by the time you're ready, opportunity was just gone. Well, here's the truth. Life doesn't wait. In today's video, we're going to dive into the importance of taking action, even when the path isn't perfectly clear. I'll share a story about missed opportunities, biblical insights on faith and timing, and even what my business coach taught me about balancing action and waiting on the Lord. Do you ever feel like you're waiting for things to settle down before you actually make your move? The problem is waiting too long can actually cost you everything. Many of us believe we need to have everything in place before taking the first step. But waiting for perfect conditions usually just means waiting forever. Opportunities. They come and they go. Fear tends to creep in the longer that you wait to act on that opportunity. You see, opportunities have an expiration date. And if you wait too long, someone else might take your spot, or the opportunity just might not be valid any longer. So you need to strike while the iron's hot. When the timing is right, you have to act, even if it's inconvenient. You need to remember that it's progress over perfection, because it's better to move forward imperfectly than to wait endlessly. In Joshua chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, God told Joshua, "Arise and go." Even if Joshua didn't feel prepared, he listened to the command of the Lord and he took action. I once worked with a client who delayed launching their e-commerce system because they wanted every product image to be perfect. And while they were taking the pictures, weeks became months. And by the time we were ready, I no longer had the availability to help. And later when I was ready, and I had the availability, their circumstances changed. And the project was ultimately abandoned, and they actually retired. So sometimes the opportunity window closes, and waiting costs more than just time. It costs momentum. And you have to overcome the inertia in order to gain that momentum again. But what about those moments when you don't feel ready, or that you can't even see the whole path? Well, let's talk about how to move forward in faith, even when clarity isn't there yet. You see, faith has taken the next step, even when you can't see the full road ahead. As Psalms 119, 105 tells us, "Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." And a lamp shows just enough to take the very next step. It doesn't light the entire way. Sometimes clarity only comes after you started moving. You need to move forward even when the path is not clear. Faith is often about taking action without knowing every step in advance. Clarity comes through action. You can't steer a parked car. Action is what brings you clarity. Waiting on God isn't about sitting still. It's about trusting His timing as you act on what He's already told you to do. When I asked my business coach how he balances taking action versus waiting on the Lord, he didn't tell me it was a dumb question, but he told me it was a dumb question. Now, he said, you need to understand that you can wait on God while you're taking action, because you're never waiting on God to take your action. You're waiting on God to do His thing. The way we wait on God is by trusting in His timing while we do the things that He commanded us to do as immediately and completely as we possibly can. And he said that he was taking massive action in the direction that he believed God was leading him, and that he was waiting on God to do only what he can do, but he wasn't waiting on God to do what my coach could do. He said, I'm doing what he already told me to do. He says, a lot of times people are waiting on God to tell them what to do, but God's waiting on them to do the last thing he told them to do. So hearing him talk about that changed my perspective. I've been using waiting on the Lord as an excuse to avoid taking action. But God's not going to do what I can do. And I can't do what only he can do. In Joshua 3:17, the Israelites stepped into the Jordan River before it parted. So again, this was Joshua going over to Jericho after God told him to take action. Him taking action actually unlocked that miracle. Now that we know that action brings clarity, let's talk about how to build a habit of quick decision making, and why waiting for 100% certainty is going to hold you back. One of the biggest reasons people miss opportunities is because they overthink it. But again, you can't steer a parked car. Action, even imperfect action, is better than staying still. Because if you're moving, you can change directions. You need to set deadlines for decisions. You need to give yourself a time frame that forces you to act and reduce that analysis paralysis. You need to start with small decisions. Quick wins build confidence and make the bigger decisions easier. Definitely don't aim for 100% certainty because it's impossible. And the opportunity calls for waiting for perfect clarity. It's just too much. In 2016, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, in his letter to shareholders, he said most decisions should probably be made with 70% of the information that you wish you had. Because if you're waiting for 90%, then most of the time you're going too slow. So again, waiting for 90%, 100%, it means you're missing opportunities. You have to make the best decision you can with what you know. And you need to be ready to adjust as you go. In Joshua chapter 8, verses 18 through 22, Joshua acted swiftly in battle. His quick decision making gave Israel the upper hand. If he had hesitated, they may have lost the opportunity. So, how do you balance the tension between action and faith? Well, the key is knowing that God works through both your steps and his timing. Opportunities won't wait. If you delay too long, you might miss the very thing you've been praying for. But waiting on God doesn't mean standing still. It means trusting his timing while you do your part. So, you need to seize the moment. Don't wait for perfection. Start wherever you are. Plus, you need to balance your action with faith. Trust that God will guide you as you move forward. And you need to make swift decisions. The faster you act, the more momentum you build. If you're ready to build momentum and double your revenue, then I invite you to check out my double revenue playlist. So don't wait. Your next step is now.